What actually happens in the bridging? Hi, I'm Louise from OTGrow and welcome to our YouTube channel. Here we discuss tools, tips, and techniques to make you a good group facilitator that brings about effective shifts in your group members. So the question today is, what exactly is the bridging about and what is the reasoning behind it? So we know that the bridging happens between the warm up. So you've just finished the warm up, everybody's had fun, there's been a lot of movement, and you've introduced your goal. And then your main activity, which is the activity that you have designed for your group, and to make sure that by the end of the activity, your group members have reached their goal. Now, we have a bridging that basically bridges the warm-up activity into the main activity. And with this bridging, it creates a context for our group members to know exactly what we're trying to achieve, to explicitly explain what is the goal of the group. And what's important here is that we don't make the goal or the bridging about the activity. It is goal based. Our focus is the goal that we're trying to achieve, not the activity that we're going to be using. So when we bridge, it's everything that happens between our warm up and the actual main activity. So we are starting by saying again, what was the warm-up activity like for you? And we are keeping our ear open for things that are going to lead the group to where we want to go in terms of the goal. So one of the groups that we facilitated at the advanced group therapy course was taking up your space. And so we did a warm up and now we are listening. How was the activity for you? And we're listening to things that are going to come to the goal or link to the goal being we are going to explore you taking up your space in the group. That was the goal. We chose an activity that's going to meet that goal. And so after the warm up, when we said what was the warm ups like, we are listening for things like space, taking up space, who we are in the group. And so we're going to take that and ask questions and gently lead our clients until it's the right time for us to ask what we call a problem spotting question. Now, what is meant with a problem spotting question? The problem spotting is to make sure that our clients realize they have a problem with whatever we are trying to address in the goal. So, for instance, do you sometimes wonder or struggle to take up your space in a group? That would be for our exploring taking your space in the group. If you had a group around boundaries, exploring boundaries, then your problem spotting question might be something along the lines of, do you sometimes find it difficult to hold your boundaries in your relationships? If you are going to have a group on experiencing one or two stress management strategies, then your problem spotting is going to be, do you at times find it hard to know what strategy works best for you when you manage your stress? Can you see how the problem spotting question makes sure that our clients realize, sure, actually, I do have a problem with this? Because if they don't have a problem with it and you're presenting it, it's not going to do good for anybody. They're not going to really be attentive because they don't believe they have a problem with it. And it also doesn't help if they've got poor insight. You're presenting a group around a specific goal and they don't think that there's anything wrong with their way of doing whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So in the bridging, we want to make sure there's a problem spotting that our clients can go, yes, actually, that is a problem. And so that's one of the important questions in our bridging. The problem spotting can also be something like yesterday when I asked you whether we do a group around trust or taking up your space, the group said they'd like to work on taking up space. So is that still okay with you? Can we do a group on taking up space? So the problem spotting is yesterday you identified this as a problem in the group. Is it still a problem? And so that is the problem spotting, that they are aware of, gosh, we've come with this problem. And so that's also to make sure that what we're addressing in our group is a need for our clients. Once we've done the problem spotting question, we then go over to what we call closing contract. And it's a very fancy term for just as you would sign a contract or an agreement. So now we're almost going into a verbal agreement. All right, you've said this is a problem. And would you like to now do an activity that is going to help you to explore taking up space? So we're actually asking consent of the clients to be able to fully participate in the activity. And now the clients have an option to say yes or no. If you have done the problem spotting well, and if it is a need of the clients, then the majority of group members are going to tell you, yes, no, that's fine. That makes sense. We're fine to go in agreement to participate in this activity to meet that goal. And so you normally don't have a problem. Often the young therapists will get quite anxious and say, yeah, but what if they say no? So, okay, there are times when they've like, they're not quite sure the group members, should they, shouldn't they, or they're like, sometimes it means they're not ready to really address the problem head on. Sometimes something else has popped up in the meantime. So yesterday they said they'd like to do a group on this. Now coming in today, something has happened in the ward or outside in the community. And all of a sudden, it feels like that's not really where they're at anymore. And that's okay. Then we just pivot and we really hear what is the need then. If this isn't what you want to do today, what do you think is the need for today? Then that becomes our new goal and we get an activity that will meet that goal. So again, our bridging takes us from the warm-up into the activity, the main activity. It is the questions we ask to bridge the gap. So our clients are following us. They can understand the reasoning and how we got to the problem spotting. They agree they've got a problem with whatever it is that you are offering them in this group. And then we come with a contract or a closing contract. In other words, are you in agreement for us to do this? And we get a yes from every single group member before we move into our main activity. If you follow the bridging, you're going to be amazed to see how easy your group flows, how much more committed your group members are in the main activity. And also you're going to see that clients will be able to tell people what they did in their group therapy. We worked on this today because it's no longer just about the activity, but it is about the goal, and they would be able to make more sense of the activity if they have agreed to the goal. All right. I hope this has created more clarity for you. So the invitation in the coming week is for you to at least try to do one of the two in your bridging. Try to see if you can be committed to do a problem spotting in every group in this coming week. And once you've got that effectively, you're doing that effectively, then start challenging yourself to try and see if you can close the contract. So I hope this week will allow you to explore and become more effective in your bridging. And in the meantime, happy facilitation.